Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to the F.O.B. Dr. Yash here. So, on this lovely winter night, we got ourselves, I don't know, it's like 28, 29 degrees. And actually, it was in the teens most of today. But, right now, it's over 70 degrees here in the F.O.B. in the entire vehicle. And I just closed one of the windows, so I'm sure you've seen the title about the other heat source. I'm sure hearing me talk about it being nearly 50 degrees over ambient temperature and me having windows open, you probably already know where this is going. So, I'll go ahead and flip this camera in case you haven't heard in the background. I'm going to go ahead and flip this camera and show you what we got, what we're getting set up here, and give you an idea of what's going on. There you go. Little pot-bellied stove. Right now, it is actually running on wood. Of course, you start coal. This is a coal stove. You see, I got my little fire supplies over here. Got my little kindling and a bucket of coal there, a couple bags of coal, fire extinguisher, a little bucket of water in case I get some embers coming out. I can flick some water on them, put them out real quick. It doesn't take much to put those little sparks out in case they get on the floor and try to leave marks or whatever. They only really jump out when the door's open, So, right now it's running on wood, as you can see. We'll get a little bit closer view there. That's all cool. Let's see if I can pop this open for you. I'll give you an idea. I loaded it vertically using the stove eye right there. But, I've got a turn damper installed in there. We got a stove jack built. It's not complete yet. I still have to do the other half of it. It's 1-inch tubing to make the frame, and then 22 gauge sheet metal, just plain sheet steel, and it's 6-inch stove pipe. You can see the turn damper up there. Got about a 45-degree angle on the plate in there. Just trying to keep the heat in right now. Supposed to be warming up through the night, so I'm not just going to run this thing full blast because it's not necessary. I'll make my wood last a little longer too. So you can see we got that frame put together. In this particular Thomas bus, it is a 27 3/8 by 28.5 window opening. Real funky size. Yes, 3/8. So, of course, that's not. We had to do 2 pieces of sheet metal. It's going to be a bar in the middle there to kind of hold those square and flat and flush so they look nice and clean. It might add a little bit of support for the sheet metal for when you go moving the pipe around to keep it from moving in and out. But it's going to be double-sided with rock wool insulation inside there as well. So, let's see, get this thing to focus. I don't know if the heat's throwing it off or what. It's weird. I turn the flashlight on. Nope, that did not help. Oh, it's focused good enough, so. But basically, yeah, got a little, got a 90-degree turn going up towards the roof of the bus there. Got a rain cap outside, so, pretty standard installation. This is a little bit farther from the wall than it's going to be, but you can tell where that section stops there is where you can see right here. That's where the bedroom wall is going to be. We're going to have, according to NFPA guidelines for a combustible wall, which is what's going to be right here on the front of the bedroom, you can actually get as close as 6 inches from your heat shield if you have a 1-inch air-cooled metal heat shield that's 1 inch off the wall. So it's going to be about 7 inches from the wall because that's galvanized, I'm going to put a heat shield in front of that to keep from having any sort of zinc toxicity. My measurements have basically told me that you could see this stove has gotten hot too. But based on my measurements from the current distance, that thing's not going to be receiving as much heat. Although that section has not got rock wool in it, and that section does. Very distinct difference in the temperature, because that's letting the heat pass straight through. That is not. So that's actually going to be capturing more heat. But like I said, I don't want any zinc toxicity. Those fumes can be pretty nasty. So I don't want to mess with that. So what I'm going to do is just make I'm going to basically treat the walls as they are this way. It's going to be prime painted, all that, and then it's just going to get a heat shield over top of it. So it's going to be a corner heat shield here, just for safety reasons. Of course, the rock wall is not going to be affected by any heat hitting that, because it's only the flue really right there, and you know, the rock wall is good to a couple thousand degrees, I believe. I mean, it's a rock. It's basalt rock, so it's not going to be affected by heat like any other forms of insulation might be. But actually, this stove, coal in general, you see I got about 60 pounds of coal over there right now, but got 1.5 bags of anthracite. I'm learning how to work with coal. That is a very different, whole different ball game from wood. I'm a lot more used to working with wood. Started this stove up, no problem. When it comes to getting that coal started, it's tricky, and you know, I know it can burn longer. I've only been able to get about a 4-hour burn time out of this stove. I'm not quite sure if I've got a draft problem or if I've got, you know, not enough coal in the stove. But now it does a really good job, and it does last longer than wood. But, you know, I'd expect a little bit longer than that out of it. Availability is not great, but I'm basically just doing this test here to see how long a stove full of wood can heat the bus without me having to add to it. You know, if I can get, you know, at least 2 or 3 hours out of it, I'd be pretty happy with that being as small a stove as this is. But and wood tends to burn a little bit hotter than coal, so all that being said, it should be actually able to keep it warmer with less air, possibly, in here than with the coal. But I like the coal. It's really neat. You can see it. I'll show it off. It's cool. In case you've never seen coal before, it's rocks. Of course, that's stuff I pulled out of the stove from last night, but it's really neat stuff. Yeah, I got this stove. This was all black, and I've been kind of wire brushing the sides to get it back to. This is like a chalky, I guess whatever paint or coating was on it before. Oh, I burnt it off last night. Because once I got that coal rolling, you know, I stepped out and came back and checked on it, and the around the bottom here was actually about 900 degrees based on the dull red glow that it had. And then, of course, like you can see here to here was all white. Of course, anything separate from it was not. So, of course, before I got this stove running, you can see I had to do a little bit of repairs, too. You can see the ring right there. And then you can see back here, behind that, basically on the back part. There you go. You can see, I think somebody may have actually dropped this stove, and they cracked that ring in two, and I got stove cement in there, and it seems to be working pretty well. Of course, the structural support for all that is the stove bolts, but of course I cleaned it all up, made sure everything was fairly flat, not any kind of major mechanical stresses on the stove when it's bolted together, and cemented it up. And even after getting the stove way too hot last night, the cement still stands. So, and it's easy to work with, so I'm going to call it good on that. Even if I had to do some touch-ups on it, I'm not going to be upset about it. But anyway, got a pretty good deal on this stove, so about half the price I'd pay for a new one. I just need a little love. She ain't purty. She ain't purty, but she got it where it counts. And like I said, it's warm in here. It's like I'm sweating right now. So Like I said, I got the damper turned about halfway off up there, and I can probably dial these back too. Probably throw a little bit more wood in it, dial it back a hair, just let it be a nice calm fire in there. But the entire bus, front to back, including the 2/3 of the thing that's not properly insulated in these incredibly drafty windows. You can see I've got that up to help control and slow down some of the drafts. I got a couple of couple curtains put up over the windows behind me as well. Keep the drafts down, but even drafty as it is, the diesel heater does good above freezing, and this thing is just hot. So I'm really happy with it. Can't wait to see how it goes as this thing becomes more and more efficient on the climate control side of things. Unfortunately, I may only get a few more nights this winter to actually run this thing. We're probably on the upswing of the winter. So yeah, I just wanted to give you all a rundown of the next heat source. I could have called that one. The next time you see it, it's going to be something else. So I mentioned in the diesel heat video that next time I'd show you a different form of heat. Well, it is the next video. So like I said, I'm thrilled with this thing. The diesel heater does really nice. Of course, it's awfully convenient. If you got a gallon of diesel, you got pretty much a night's worth of heat on anything above freezing that you want heat for just the bedroom. Easy. So you just push a button and it rolls. So you have the convenience of that, but at the same time, wood's not hard to work with. Lighten up wood stoves. Lighten up coal, I'm still cutting my teeth on it. It'll get easier as I get used to it, but wood is easy, honestly. Splitting wood's not bad. I like splitting wood and bucking firewood with the saw or whatever, so it's a chainsaw. That is one difference between this and most wood stoves, being that this is a coal stove. It breathes a little different than a wood stove, and loading this is different. I'm actually loading it from the top. Let me flip it around and show you what we got. To give you an idea of how I did this, when I first started this stove this evening, I just popped the stove eye up, and I put some logs in vertically. Now, right now, you can see that's a decent size. That's 5-6 inch log. So a lot of your stuff, most of the stuff like split logs and stuff like that, it's not hard to get a log that small in diameter. But the problem you run into, I got a couple of gaps here. I haven't seen a bit of smoke come out of them. I probably have a little bit of a leak as far as the draft is concerned, but I may cement the inside. So this is an old antique stove, so a little warping and distorting from heat and all that. So it's not a precise machine, but it's to be expected. But yeah, the height tends to be a problem because you have to get down below this point, and then you have to have enough room in the bottom. So the one thing that I've got to do when I'm getting wood ready, when I'm getting my fuel ready for this stove, is I'm pretty much going to be cutting them in half, making wood blocks. So, and just dropping them in from the top. So if I can pack this thing from bottom to top full of wood blocks and just let her rip, that thing's going to put out a lot of heat and do it for a long time. And that configuration. So that's the only real difference so far. Actually, I'm really happy with the way that the wood burns. You can see the flames are going up. It's a really nice updraft coming from the bottom here, which is what the coal wants, but apparently wood's happy with it too. I might need to turn it down again. We're getting pretty bright in there. So yeah, loading it's a little bit different. You don't load it from the front. You can't really do much with this door because it's not very big. If you're scooping coal in there, that's great because that's what it's made for. But when it comes to the wood, I like loading it in from the top. The draft usually keeps the flames and any smoke or anything. You'll see the smoke sit right here, and just if you got any smoke coming in, it'll curve and go right up the draft or go right up the flue with the draft. And if you do a quick open it up and drop it in there, it doesn't even disturb the flames or nothing. It's really neat. They don't even really lick up out of there. They're usually going towards the back. So it works well. You can still buy stoves like this new. So you know, honestly, if you're doing a schoolie and you want some good heat, you might look into something like this. Or if you got a small RV that you got enough space for it. It's a really small stove. I mean, look, that's my hand up against it. It's perfect for in here. And once it's up against the wall, it's really going to be out of the way. Just got to do those air-cooled heat shields. The NFPA guides and stuff for all that are readily available, easy to find information on, and you can do it safely. And, of course, wood's everywhere, so why not? Anyway, I think I've rambled on enough about that. I'm excited about it. I like being warm. I like playing with fire, within reason. I'm not doing anything crazy here, but I use the term play loosely. But I do like fire and making fires. We'll put it that way, in a controlled fashion, like this. So, you just kick back over here by the fire and read a book. It's fantastic. So, anyways, I've rambled on enough about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm just going to go ahead and hop off here. You know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you later.